All right, Eliot was there yesterday. By the way, Devin, were you there yesterday?
I was, yes.
What was your biggest takeaway from it?
I mean, kind of what I mentioned earlier, that especially with Howie's final comment, kind of setting up for, look, you might not be happy with some of the moves that we make, but I promise, we're always building for the future while also trying to win now. I also had a little red flag raised when Nick Sirianni said he got more and more involved in the offense as the season went on. And I know that we kind of knew that, but to say it off the top, just like, yeah, I had my fingerprints all over this offense, was a little bit concerning.
Didn't reflect
to me.
well on him.
Reinforced the fact that when it was and what he didn't remind us of is that there was absolutely no discernible difference or improvement in the offense. Why on earth did you go and remind us of that?
Well, I think he's taken a bit of a bullet for Patullo. So I do think there's an admirable element to Sirianni affirming that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it doesn't speak well to his offensive prowess.
No,
it
certainly
doesn't.
did not.
All right, let's find out Eliot's impressions from the press conference yesterday. Obviously been covering the Eagles for us for a long time here at WIP. And as we broadcast from Borgata, Eliot, good morning, bud.
What I thought was so interesting about the Howie comment, too, that Devin just referenced, was that it was unprompted.
Yep.
Like, he just said it at the end because he wanted to get that in there. So I do think it was a message he very much wanted the fans
Clearly.
to hear.
So, Eliot, what's your biggest takeaway from what happened yesterday?
So my biggest takeaway was it felt like there were two clear messages they wanted to send. One was any offensive coordinator candidate that was listening yesterday, good news, you get complete control of the offense. Like, we're not going to get in your way. You can do what you want on the offensive side of the ball. And the other one, and this one was from Howie, was after Nick kind of said that message, right, that he wants to be the head football coach. Like, that's what he wants to do, and he's okay with this other guy running the offense. Howie steps in and basically says how great Nick is, right? So I feel like they were trying to control two messages in that press conference.
So I didn't hear the first. I'm sorry, Eliot. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to do it just quickly. One, that the offense is up for grabs for the coordinator, but two, like, they're still standing behind Nick.
Yeah, well, for sure, too, I agree with you. So the first one, and I saw you write that on Twitter as well, the first point you made, I didn't get that impression as much as you did. Now, is it because you're interpreting Nick saying, I'm willing to do anything, and you interpret that, because I'm the head coach, and that's i.e., I'll step back and clear the way for someone else that comes in to basically run the offense? Is that how you arrived at that conclusion about the coordinator having a lot of autonomy?
I think the message from them was that this person can come in and run the offense. And so, I do agree with what you're saying. What I don't think, though, is that I don't think that will actually happen, right? Like, unless this person comes in and the offense don't think that will actually happen, right? Like, unless this person comes in and the offense just hits the ground running, flying colors, and there's no even reason at all to step in, like, I just don't believe that when the two most important people in the building, Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, do have really strong opinions about how the offense should look. Like, Nick put on a good face yesterday, but I don't believe, from being around Nick for 5 years, that he truly believes in an offense that everyone wants to see. One that has, like, a ton of eye candy, one that has a ton of motion, one that does all types of trick plays. Like, that's just never who he's been. And so I think they are portraying the message that they are that they will be okay with that. I will be really curious to see the dynamics if they do end up installing something like that, because Nick feels a certain way about it, and I don't know how Jalen feels about it.
What are the odds, Eliot, that the coaching staff is revamped and whoever the new offensive coordinator is brings his own guys in? The new quarterback coach, the new running back coach, the new wide receivers coach. What are the odds that takes place, and what message does that send to the Eagle players about where Nick stands in that building?
Yeah, I think it's a really key question that they're going to have to figure out with the candidate, right? Like, if you are one of the top candidates, like Mike McDaniel, Brian Dable, Stefanski, if you decide you would rather, do this job instead of a head coach job, like, there will be tons of places that are going to offer them the ability to hire their full staff. So if you look at who would be on the Eagles staff, when it comes to, like, Aaron Moorhead, Jamal Singleton, I think you could probably negotiate around that. But, like, Jeff Stoutland, you can say, yes, this coach would probably want to work with Jeff Stoutland. He's obviously an outstanding offensive line coach. but like he designed the running game. For everybody that was mad at Patullo about the lack of a running game this year, like Jeff Stoutland designed the running game. So if you're Mike McDaniel and you've always kind of done it one way, and the way you design your running game is viewed around the league as creative and all that, like, do you want to work with Jeff Stoutland? But if you're the Eagles, that's a super tough decision to make. Not to mention the Scott Loeffler part of this, where Jalen has spoken really highly about him. He has flat out said at a press conference he hopes that they retain him. This was earlier in the year.
Yeah.
And if you're an offensive coordinator, like the quarterback coach and the offensive line coach are maybe the two most important positions positions you hire. So that is
Scott Loeffler, a guy who called plays before, a guy who didn't have that opportunity this season, but that is something he's done at the college level. It might not ever matter, though.
Yeah.
Why didn't they go to him during the season?
That is a great question.
I wondered that too.
Why do you think that is, Eliot, that they didn't? Did they consider moving to Loeffler as a play caller, or was that a non-starter?
So he has never called plays in the NFL. And I know Patullo had not. I'm just saying, like, he didn't have a track record of that. And yeah, I mean, look, I still think Patullo was the fall guy. Like, I don't think I would have been fine running it back with Nick Patullo and Jalen. Like, I know that they put on the face that, like, this was a huge problem. But to me, it feels like they felt they needed a massive change there.
Eliot with us here, as he is every Friday in the football season. Sadly, the Eagles' football season's over, but more games this weekend. Eliot, let's get to the A.J. situation. And I want to play some audio of Howie Roseman talking about A.J. yesterday. I'll give you my impression of his answer, then yours. Here's Howie yesterday on A.J.
A.J. expressed their happiness throughout the season.
Sometimes I feel like we need like a deli counter and just like pick numbers and go from here.
If it makes sense, are you open to trading him, or is that just a non-starter?
Yeah, we talked about this, I think, at the trade deadline last time I talked. It is hard to find great players in the NFL, and A.J. is a great player. I think from my perspective, that's what we're going out and looking for when we go out here in free agency in the draft, is trying to find great players who love football, and he's that guy. So I think that would be my answer.
So, Eliot, I thought it was a wise answer by Howie. He didn't say yes or no. I didn't expect him to say yes or no. But here's what I think he did. He pumped up AJ's value, knowing that he probably will be trading him. Matter of fact, right now on ESPN.com, the seventh story, they always got their headlines about 10 stories. The seventh story on ESPN.com, headline, Philly GM, hard to find great players like Brown. So I think Howie achieved the, hey, let's pump up the player. But I'll tell you what I didn't hear. I didn't hear him say, hell no, I'm not trading him. Like, if he was asking you trading Saquon Barkley, he'd be like, what are you asking me that for? So I thought it was a smart answer by Howie, but it speaks to me that I think there's a great chance AJ gets traded. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, you would probably say about Saquon, well, I just gave him a terrible contract, so he's going to be tough to trade.
Damn!
But I do
Howie catches
with,
some shrapnel.
Yeah, right.
With AJ, yeah, I think you're right. Like, I've been at, pretty much every one of Howie Roseman's end of season press conferences, and that was a very Howie Roseman answer, right? It was a message to other GMs. We value AJ. He's a great player. Like, we don't want to trade him. And I do think the Eagles, if they had their way, would probably decide not to trade AJ. I do think there has to be a conversation with AJ about, like, does he want to be here? And if he is going to be here, is he on board with, like, the roller coaster of the season, right? Like, is he going to stick by the team and the players and the coaches through the ups and downs of next year? And if they feel he is truly on board, then I don't think they're going to want to trade him, right? I think they could use AJ, and I think they still believe in AJ. But
who is AJ most mad at?
Honestly, like, from being around AJ all year, I think you could almost pick the day. I think there is I think there is a frustration from AJ about the fact that the passing game has not been good. And who does he blame for that? Like, I think at my core it's probably Jalen, but to be fair, him and Jalen seem to be in a better place now. So I don't know, but I think AJ's frustration is about the passing game. Like, that is what I think his pure frustration is about. And if you're AJ, you have to ask yourself, do I really think it's going to change next year? Like, everyone can sit here and act like it's going to be way different next year. As long as Nick and Jalen are there, I'm going to put my money on it looking mostly the same. And that's okay, because they have won a lot of games. Like, I think it is a risk to move on from how they do things, to kind of, like, take it away from Nick to, try to push Jalen, do all these new innovative things. Like, okay, but you're moving away from the best stretch of Eagles football in franchise history. So for AJ, he's going to have to decide, can he come back and be happy if the passing game is mostly the same?
Yeah, no question about it. Elliot with us right now. By the way, beat the hammer in 5 minutes. So we'll take caller 5 on the contest line right now. You'll be competing against the hammer. That's me, which means you're going to lose, but that's okay. 215-988-1258. Caller number 5 right now, 215-988-1258. Your opportunity to play in Beat the Hammer coming up in 5 minutes. Elliot, I want to get to the audio of Sirianni being pumped up by Howie. You would reference this. Let's play it. James, it's the third of our pieces of audio related to Howie. So listen to this, because you're right, Elliot. It kind of came sort of out of nowhere in that Howie went there on his own. He wasn't asked, like, how great is your coach? I thought Howie really made a point to say, Nick Sirianni's my coach. Let's listen to Howie yesterday on Sirianni.
I sit here and I feel incredibly grateful that I'm working with someone who, as a head coach, is elite at being a head coach. Elite at building connection with our team, elite about talking about fundamentals, game management, situational awareness, bringing the team together, holding people accountable. And when you're looking for a head coach, those are really the job descriptions. And as you're building out a coaching staff, you're talking about being able to do that, being able to have elite play callers on both sides of the ball. And when you think about how hard it is to find those three things and that we have one, we're starting with a huge advantage. So I think that puts us in a great spot.
So, Elliot, I thought it was a big endorsement, one of the bigger ones I've heard.
He said those three things, right? The offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator, and the head coach. He said, and then we have one. So which is it that they have? Is it Nick Fangio, the awesome defensive coordinator, or is it Nick Sirianni, the awesome head coach? If they have one.
I don't know. I didn't hear it quite like that, but
right.
maybe. Elliot, here's what I want to drive at. Huge endorsement of Sirianni.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jalen's job is more on the line in 2026 than Sirianni's. But I could be wrong. Obviously I can't climb in the head of Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman. Whose job do you think is more on the line next year?
I think Jalen's job is probably more on the line next year, just because I do think there's probably more organizational belief in Nick than there is in Jalen. And also, that's because Jalen's on the field. Like, Jalen is the most important person in that building. Like, it's him and Nick. Like, those are the two key people. And then obviously Howie clearly in a different way. But I think that if Jalen is the same kind of passer he was last year, that in next year, then I do think his job will certainly be on the line. Think about this. When they won the Super Bowl, that Jalen, I will stand by, was the biggest reason why they won. Like, he played a huge part in that. Nick got paid. I think Howie got paid. Like a lot of people in that building got benefits from that. Like, Jalen didn't get a new contract. And if Jalen doesn't get one this offseason either, I think that tells us everything we need to know about how hot Jalen's seat is going into this season.
Interesting. All right, Elliot, final thing here. I want to hot topics for 1 second because beat the hammer in a moment, but you just referenced contracts. I would refer to you as a moderately smart guy.
Thank you.
Do you have any solution to this baseball thing where last night the Los Angeles Dodgers signed Kyle Tucker for over $200 million? It's a 4-year deal for, what is it, Ray, 240?
240. Correct, yes.
Elliot, now you're a smart guy, all jokes aside. Like, what the hell, man? Like, what is the freaking solution?
I think they should put in a salary cap, like a hard cap. Like, I do think there is something to be
Players
said
will never let
that
that happen.
Right. Well,
right?
That's why they have the strongest union in sports, probably. Like, other than maybe NBA, right? Like,
no, they have the strongest.
They have the strongest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they should put a cap in flat out. But I would also say, maybe to counter that, like, there is something I respect about the fact that the owners that care the most. I know it's about assets too, but mostly it's about the owners that care the most. Get to be the best team. And, like, there's something very, like, we can, obviously Jeffrey Lurie wants to win, and he does everything he can to win. He's capped at it, right? Like, other owners who might not care as much can mostly spend what Jeffrey spends because of the cap system. Like, if the Phillies want to compete with the Dodgers, just go out and spend as much as them. Like, we're talking about billionaires here. So I would put a cap in, But there is something very clear about the fact that obviously the Dodgers want to win more than the other teams. Like,
well, I'll just say this. Well,
they have a lot more money too,
Elliot.
man.
There's a big
But all
difference
these
between
guys have
having
enough
$3
money
billion
to
and
spend
$20 billion.
No,
I mean,
the Dodgers have like $100 billion.
Yeah,
they
whatever
have
the
the
number.
Guggenheim
And the Blue
Group.
Jays have a ton of money, but we're talking about $30 million a year. Like, obviously that's a ton of money, but to the people making these decisions, that's not a ton of money. So, like, the Dodgers want to
$400
win
million
more.
payroll is a lot of money. Like,
I agree with James,
no, I know,
man.
but
And it's not
the
enough.
Phillies- but
like
not
that
the
would be
Phillies'
an
payroll is
eighth
$70
of
million.
John Middleton's entire like fortune, almost, or a ninth. Like that's significant.
I agree, but I'm saying it's not like the Phillies' payroll is $70 million. Like, the Dodgers just added another $30 million on, right? Like, so
Yeah,
what I'm saying
60.
is,
He's
like,
making
the Phillies
60.
already, so whatever it is, $60 million a year, right? The point I'm making is the Dodgers want to win more. Like, we can sit here and act like the Phillies can't spend more if they don't want to. The Phillies could spend more if they want to. They could. They don't
All
want
right.
to, and that's fine.
Elliot,
But that's
nice,
the problem.
nice work, buddy. We'll talk to you next week. Obviously, round and round the site.
Elliot is 100% right.
Yeah, I know. You're
getting
correct.
more
And
than
I'll say this,
Shohei.
Joe. I'll say this, Joe. After the Eagles lost, we could all use a win by the hammer. So go.
Oh, I got
Oh, there we
I
go.
got
Go
you
get
covered.
that win.
See you, buddy. Thanks, Elliot.